Well, hello, all you loyal listeners out there. Sometimes I say, all right, all right, all right, and that is the way that I feel today. Welcome to Agency Intelligence, where I give you real agents inside real agencies, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass. I'm glad to be back with you. I am joined today by Beth DeLaForest. Am I saying that right?
DeLaForest, but I answer
DeLaForest.
to
I
whatever.
love it. I mean, it's got like when your last name has like multiple capital letters, like that's pretty cool, you know? So I really, really like that. And I'm looking forward to getting on with this with you. But before we do, I want to ask you some of our famous questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you an iPhone or are you a Droid user?
No, I'm a Droid user. Are you going to make fun of me?
Nope, because I'm a Droid user too. So
Okay.
I think you're one of the few, I would say under 20% that are on here. Seems
Ah,
like more of the development type people, the more creative type people. Well, I don't want to say creative because Apple users are very creative because they have some pretty creative, cool tools. I will say that Apple's got
mm-hmm.
some pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, nope. What's the last app you downloaded, Beth?
Oh, gee. Oh, the Passport app, which is for parking.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's for in our town.
In your town.
Yeah, so rather than going to the meter, you just do it on your phone.
Bam, bam.
Yeah.
I mean, what can we not do on apps anymore? I mean, you name it. I mean, we can do it, right?
It's
I
true.
mean, it's really, really wild. I was watching this guy who like has one of those 3D printing machines and he comes up with these designs inside his app and then he just sends it to the 3D printing machine and it makes it. I mean, it's nothing more than his cell phone and just blows my mind. Blows my mind.
Crazy.
Yep, yep, yep. But they're not as crazy as us as independent insurance agents because we live in the best industry God ever created. Do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
I love to win.
Love to win? Any reason
Mm-hmm.
why?
Because I think when you lose, you learn. So I think there's so much to be. So I don't think you actually lose. So, but
Hmm.
I love the thrill of winning.
Right. Because it's what we go through all that learning for, right?
Right.
I'm with you. I've been talking about this. Loyal listeners know I'm on the same side. It's taken me 500 times of asking that question, Beth, for
Oh,
me to get it in my head.
rejection is hard and losing is hard, but we can reframe that.
I do. I agree with you emphatically. Two things we believe here at AI got you to where you are, and we just want to know what was a major factor over the other, skill or luck in your life.
Gosh. Skill or luck? Well, can I add a third?
Well, come on, yeah, people have done
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I'd say grit. Uh,
Grit.
I do not stop, and my bounce back factor is strong, and so I can't say I'm the most skilled out there for sure. I certainly have had a lot. I can't say as though I've been overly lucky.
Okay, okay. So grit.
Yeah, I'd say grit. I'm pretty gritty.
And then you said something, and it already skipped my brain. You said, "Oh gosh, Jason, come on! You just said it." And as I
Oh,
went to
is it
go
bounce back factor?
bounce back
Yeah.
factor, what does that mean?
I don't stay down long. So I don't stay in a bad frame of mind, I guess I'd say, and I don't let um, circumstances that I don't necessarily like affect me moving forward. So like, there's no rearview mirror, right? I just keep going forward.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. And as you know, loyal listeners, if you hear that, I'm making notes because my brain doesn't really remember. It goes so fast. Beth, I want to come back to that because I believe I have a strong bounce back factor. That's something we've never talked about here on the podcast before. So let's break that down a little bit more for them. But before we do, let them relate to who you are. Take us back, diapers, high school, whatever you want to start, and bring us forward to how Beth got to where she is running 5 miles a day and leading a great organization.
Okay, so I grew up on a dirt road on a hobby horse farm in Wisconsin. and graduated. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I'm fiercely independent. So, of course, I moved out on my own when I was 18 because I have to do everything by myself. And I needed a way to support myself. So when I was 20, I fell into a role. I was finishing community college, I was. And so then I was 20, so finishing community college. And didn't really know. I thought I wanted to go into nursing, and no offense to any nurses out there, but I'm so glad that I went into insurance. But I just took a job as a receptionist when I was 20 in an insurance agency. At the Big Red Farm. And I was at the Big Red Farm for 10 years, just like 2 months shy of 10 years. Learned a lot there, cut my teeth. I was there from 20 to 30. And finally realized I had a friend that is an independent agent, and he just kept, for years saying, what are you doing? You need to be on the independent side. And, I had drank a lot of Kool-Aid at the farm. So you kind of think that it's, the best thing there is. And
Right.
I don't know. I just had a sequence of events that really made me realize it is time for me to spread my own wings. And so at 30, so I was in 2010. So I guess you could do the math and figure out how old I am. But I decided to fly the coop and spread my wings, and I started as an agent scratch in 2010 through an independent insurance agency. And super thankful for that. I really took a deep dive into commercial insurance then, so spent 3.5 years there, really, really immersed in commercial. I already kind of knew the personal lines gig through the farm. And then I was there for 3.5 years, and I am super passionate about creating freedom and flexibility in the workplace and kind of the new wave of what you're seeing insurance look like. And then I also, many of us probably listen to Grant Botma, but one of the things that he talks about is culture within the agency. And I feel like a lot of traditional agencies have big cultural problems. And like you said, we are in the most amazing industry. And so I think I just had a real strong vision of what I wanted to see an agency actually look like. And so I had negotiated a buyout for my book of business, and then I took that in 2014 and started Aspire Insurance Group.
Wow. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
So I started my agency in 2010. So on a similar kind of, because that's when you got into the independent side, right?
Right.
So you love it and realize now how much of the Kool-Aid you drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of captives that listen to this, right? And they listen to it because they kind of know that too. And they're starting to get that itch factor, So what do you do? What does your agency look like today? Is it you? How much staff? What do you guys write? What do you do?
Okay. So we are structured.
Okay.
So we're weird. We really are. And
Come on, that's
actually
good.
love that about us. I wouldn't change a thing. So I actually acquired an agency last year. So I do have a physical location up north in Minnesota, in Gilbert, Minnesota, small town USA. We do have a small office in Hudson, Wisconsin, where I live. There's 2 of us in there now, and then the rest of us are remote. We're a team total of 9. Soon to be 11. I will be bringing 2 people on in next week, actually. We write, we're actually 55% commercial insurance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So a little different there, about 40% personal lines. And then the rest is, just some life, health, Medicare. We do a little bit in that arena.
How'd you get this agency? How'd you run into this agency, Beth?
Oh, it's the funniest story.
Come on.
Oh gosh, I just look back at it and I just laugh. It was a total God wink. So this would be where if I've had luck, this would be where the luck comes in.
Okay.
So I was in Boston and I was going through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program.
Okay.
And I got this weird phone call from this guy named John, and he said, the voicemail said, hey, your agency has the name of my agency. And so I want to talk to you. And so I actually thought we were going to get into something probably legal.
Like a lawsuit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember I'm like, I needed to be super focused in this program. But I got this voicemail on a break, and I thought, you know what? You actually need to call this person back right away because you need to get this out of your head. Otherwise, I would have been sitting and milling on it. So I called him back, and he wanted to sit down for coffee. So when I got back, we sat down for coffee, and he just dug and dug and dug. And it comes to find out that he had actually received, so thank you, Dell Computers, because he received some of my mail because his insurance agency name was Aspire Insurance Agency, and I'm Aspire Insurance Group.
Wow.
He's in Minnesota, I'm in Wisconsin. So, but we actually only live maybe half an hour apart. So he got my mail from Dell. And
wow.
he was working on his perpetuation planning. And so after we compared notes,
Holy cow.
I know, he had built from scratch. And so we spent about 8 months really just slowly getting to know each other, talking about our core values, our vision for the future, meeting each other's teams, that type of thing.
This guy sounds like a great guy. He really cared about his agency to really spend this much time with someone. Wow. And then to have the foresight to say, hey, can I even keep the same name? I mean, this guy embodies what independent agents are. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, the neat thing with him, and this was something that we really feel, he's still obviously a very close friend of mine, but here's what's interesting is I've been in every seat in an agency, I've sat in and worked in, which I love because it helps me relate really well to my team. But he actually came from the corporate side. He was back when Travelers was St. Paul Companies. He was an executive there and was on the underwriting, actuary, management side. And so between the two of us, we have just a really broad viewpoint. So it's fun.
Beth, how old was he? How old was he when all this transpired and he called you?
Yeah. So he would have been 64 then. He's 65
Okay.
now.
Okay. All right.
So.
Just trying to give some relevance to that. That is a great story. That is one of the most unique stories. I mean, all because your name was the same.
Yeah.
Right? It makes loyal listeners, if you're out there, you might want to study and see if other agencies have the same name as you and then call them, especially if you're wanting to sell, but especially if you're wanting to buy. Call them and say, hey, are you wanting to sell your agency? We have the same name. Oh, this guy, I like him. I think that he thought differently. And as you said, he's kind of got a different perspective on a lot of things. So that is really cool. So you're mainly commercial though. Like what would you say, do you guys have any niches? What would you say your average account is?
Oh gosh, probably average accounts around 25,000.
In premium?
In premium, that would probably be a sweet. So we have ones, we have, some that are in six figures. We have some that are a lot smaller than that. But if we're meeting in the middle, probably around 25 to 30 maybe.
Yeah. That's good.
I actually have really intentionally kept us a generalist. I know that is like a potty word probably right? Because everybody says, oh, you should niche. And I actually do have a niche in personal lines, but in commercial, here's what I have seen. I've seen close friends of mine that niched in condos tank their business. I've seen friends of mine that niched in school buses tank their business. I've recently seen a couple friends that niched in hospitality tank their business.
That one's
and so
a tough
even
one.
Right, but here's the thing is clearly if you're captive, that's scary. But even in the independent world, right? So, they all kind of follow each other. There's not typically, you don't find there's one that's all of a sudden running into a market that the rest aren't. It's herd mentality. They're all they do similar things. There might be one that leads a little bit more than the others, but it's a blessing to have markets and stuff, but industry trends tend to run together. So if you're going to have a snag in one industry, like one sector of business. It's going to be felt throughout all of the companies. So
no, I do like that. That's totally legitimate. And here's the other thing that, Beth, is that the positive about being a generalist is that if everybody's saying be a niche, right? There's a lot of people, Jim Rohn said, find out what 95% of the people are doing and do the exact opposite and you'll be successful. So really, at the point in time, if everybody goes niche, someone's got to be a generalist around here, right? So I think it feeds the need. That's what we do as independent agencies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about this bounce back effect, okay? Bounce back factor. That's a big ding. It's different. The factor is different than the effect. So the effect comes from something else. The factor could be the reason why the effect happens. Now, here's what I say about this. It's a positive and it's a curse. Right? This is what I have found with me. I have the most unbelievable short-term memory God ever created, and it drives people nuts that are around me. Not so much anymore because I hire people with the intention of them knowing that, and that's one of their roles is to help me with that. Where it really helps me is I can lose an account or I can lose a proposal that I knew I was going to get, and I will be more mad than you could ever say whenever I'm heading back to the car, but I'm looking at what I did to learn, and then I'm able to look in the mirror, I think, real fast and go, Cass, you know you did this and this when you shouldn't have, or this, even if it wasn't my fault. I have this amazing ability to wake up the next day, and people will be like, hey, man, sorry about that yesterday. And I'm like, what happened? What was something going on when I was in here at the office? They're like, no, dude, you didn't get that account. And I'm like, oh, man, that's cool. They're like, dude, yesterday they thought that you were going to commit suicide. I'm just joking. I shouldn't say that as a joke. They thought that you were going to jump off a bridge. Well, that would be too. But they really did. So do you find that to be something that you have as well? It's like it's a blessing and a curse. That's what I was thinking of earlier.
I do the exact same thing. I just don't. If I get mad, well, first I have a super long fuse, so it's rare that I really lose it. Yeah. But the other thing is, if I do, I'm seriously over it in like 5 minutes. I don't. It's done. Amazing. It's over, and it's because it just takes a lot of emotional energy to hold on to that kind of stuff. And I just don't have room for it, and so yeah.
Yeah, I just like getting legit with myself. Right? We always want to blame the other person. We want to blame the other party, or this carrier didn't do this, or if I would have already got that. At the end of the day, you can't brag about how awesome you are when you win and try to deny it when you lose. Yes. Right? So I think you have to take both of those. And that's one of those things that I just get real. And so when I say getting mad, that's what I mean. I need to be real with myself. And sometimes I want to fight myself and be like, no, you did fine, when I really know that I kind of skipped out on a couple things. How else does that affect you? You know what I mean? That is it's also tough when I lead my organization, because some things that I may be emotionally charged about today, I don't go on to the next thing. Like, I'm not a shiny object person, but I kind of lose the emotion because my brain moves on to bigger problems. Do you find that as being an owner?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I could see how it can likely create a disconnect at times, because I think I probably moved past a point of, like, I process things real quick and I just move on. And I communicate well with my team, but I would say likely most of them probably need a little bit more time processing. You know, I'm a bit more of a heads up communicator, and I'll process quick, typically verbally, and then move on. Whereas they're a little bit more nose to the grindstone, heads down communicator, which they probably need a little bit more time processing different things. So I just have to stay super intentional with them and how it.
Beth, have you had to find that you have to delegate tasks a lot more to make sure that they get complete because of your bounce back factor? Does that make sense when I say that?
Yeah, I think right now I'm pretty out of the day-to-day, and the stuff I'm working on is not stuff that anybody else is working on. So
Okay.
I don't, I delegate to a certain degree, but some of the stuff I'm working in now is not really anything.
So
I can
because of the
delegate.
negative side of my bounce back factor, I have to do that. I have to, because as I said, I can be very emotionally charged. I see the vision for it. Here it comes. But then the curse of my bounce back factor is the next day, that's not as big of a deal to me. But it is a big deal to the agency, right?
Yeah.
So as a leader, I have to be aware of that. But as you said, you're not you're not in the operational part as
Right.
much. Neither am I. So I have to make sure, though, that they understand that that's just as important. And it's unique to find that personality that works well with you to be able to carry that same energy forward, as opposed to me, I'm on to the next thing the next day as far as finding a vision and casting it,
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I think the thing that I've always said to my team is I need you to help me make sure that these specific things are finished.
Boom.
Yeah, so like even today, before I jumped on with you, I had a commercial lender that is a referral partner of us send someone over yesterday. Quotes are done this morning, and I realized in looking at my day, I'm like, I know that I want to be the person that sends this out, and because it was directly sent to me,
It's tough.
but I also realized that it's more important actually that this person gets this stuff in their hands than it is from me. And so I, before I said, hey, Caitlin, will you make sure you get this out? Because I'm just realizing I'm going to clog the wheel here. So yes, in that respect, for sure, I do. They know how I work. And so it's it's covering your weaknesses, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so they know that I've said to them multiple times, like, here's this, we're working on this project. So will you just make sure, I need you to help make sure this is completed, like bring this all the way through end.
Yes.
Don't expect me to lead you the rest of the way.
Beth, what we are talking about, and the loyal listeners know it, we're talking to 80 to 90% of our listeners have this problem. And I have to admit, I had this problem. And I think it comes down to a lot of things, but it also comes down to the fact that no one can do it as good as me. And this person called in specifically because the relationship I have with them, they want me to do it. And you're so right what you said, Beth. They just have a problem and they want the solution the best way possible. I'm also a very open, and I'll get your feeling on this. I'm very open with my customers about that. Like, hey, I want you to know that I want you to have the best service, Jim. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Sarah. Sarah is the specialist when it comes to our quoting and anything billing and all that. Now, if at any time you'll have any questions, something you don't think is correct, just ask her to talk to me. It's no big deal, but I want you to have the best, right? Isn't it something like that is how you kind of deliver it? What's your little thing?
Yeah, I do something very similar. What I try to do is elevate them to a position higher than me with the experience that they're going to be able to deliver. So with Caitlin, I'll say, hey, Caitlin is our new business manager, and she is way better at quoting than I am. So we are going to let the person who's amazing at it handle it. I'm here no matter what, but she's kind of your girl. So I will, in front of them, on an email or however it's coming in, communicate it so they're on there, so they're in an elevated position. Same with service. Like, can I service? Did I do that role for a long time? Yep. I am so inefficient at it. I mean, I can muddle through, but you really don't want me servicing you.
I got you, Beth. I'm with you, girl. I am so with you. And loyal listeners, I want you to stop real quick because you really need to listen to what she's saying here, because this is a launch pad for your agency. That's how important this is. Billy said to me years ago, loyal listeners, you know this. Billy Williams said to me, he said, Jason, the day you quit selling damn policies in your agency is the day it explodes and it takes off. He was right. Billy said something to me following that made sense. He said, Jason, you can be an owner that produces, but you can't be a producer that's an owner. You shouldn't be any, but if you got to do both because you're a small agency, maybe you're wearing many hats, there comes a point in time you're either a producer that's also an owner, which he says you should not do, or you are an owner who also does some producing. Because the owner at the end of the day still takes care of certain accounts. Let's just be real about that.
For sure.
But I love what you said. And, and Gary Vee says, double down on your strengths and forget your weaknesses. I think we forget sometimes, Beth, that what you said is what he means, as doesn't mean forget them. There still need to be done, but hire somebody that fills those. And I think that this is something the loyal listeners really need to hear. That's why I wanted to talk about this bounce back factor, because there's good and bad to this,
Yeah, for sure. I think it's typical of anyone that like more visionary type of people are going to run into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. I get to the bottom of it, and what made me visionary? What made me just not like to do that process-driven stuff? And I got people in my office that just love it, and I just think they're weird, right? And that's why I love them. But I don't know what made it to me. I don't know if it's the way I grew up. I always look at different business owners, and there's always one of them, right? I'm either usually getting the process-driven director of operations partner, or I'm getting the visionary partner. And they all have the same things. Travis and I are that way. Do you have any partners, or are you 100% owner, Beth?
I'm 100% owner.
100% owner. Plan on staying that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Neither wrong or right. Just curious. Yeah. All right. Well, Beth, you have anything else you want to say? I think I really didn't want to keep this too long, and I think we delivered a nice little power punch, to be honest with you. I think we talked about some things that we normally hadn't talked about, and I think that's what we try to do for the loyal listeners. Anything you want to say wrapping up?
No, thanks for having me. It was awesome to connect with you, and I love listening to your podcast, and I just think it's so fun to hear stories and perspectives, and hopefully I was able to inspire some new thoughts for people.
It is. New thoughts for people, but new thoughts for minority of the women in this industry and the greatness that they're going to bring to it. Right, Beth?
Yeah.
And I think that that's important, right? I think we should bring on anybody, regardless of skin color or gender or whatever. But I think we need to make no bones about the fact that minorities of gender and race are making a huge impact in the way that this industry is going. And because it's so dominated by the male, stale, and pale, the guys sitting in the back room with the big stogies, right? I think that getting people like you and getting people like Teresa Kitchens and all kinds of other people, please, I apologize if I've left you out, but getting you and giving you guys the spotlight. I always said a long time ago is that the goal of my podcast was give a voice to those who have no voice. I'm not saying you have no voice, but I think sometimes in a male-dominated industry, it's important that your voice ring louder than everybody else's, because it's only going to make us better. It's really, truly only going to make us better. So thanks very much for being the visionary and being awesome, Beth.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for listening to the podcast. You don't have to do that, shucks, But anyways, but if for all you loyal listeners, keep in mind you go to the Insurance Podcast Network, because now we have 9 shows out there. And I'm just going to tell you, we're actually going to have 10 shows, because guess who we are getting ready to add to the network? Teresa Kitchens is going to be bringing her podcast over to the network, and she's excited about that, and so are we, because it's a way that we can amplify her voice and the people she brings on. It's been over 7 years that we've created this huge, huge group of loyal listeners, you listening. And now it's time to be able to bring more microphones into that group. You may not like me, but you like James Jenkins, Agency Freedom. Awesome. Listen to James. That's completely great. But be sure to find out who you are. Beth, wrapping up with this, leaders are readers. You're a reader, so I know you're a leader, so I know you must be a reader. What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh, this book, it's called Never Lose a Customer Again.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't remember who it's by right now, but it is so good.
We can Google it.
So good. Yeah, it has
so
a black
good
cover with red writing. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to have my team start reading it with me.
So, loyal listeners, I have her on video, and I just got to tell you, when she said the book was good, like her eyes got big. Like her eyes were like, it is really, really good. So I want you to remember that. What was the name of it one more time so we can check it out?
Never Lose a Customer Again.
Okay. I think I might have heard about that, but I haven't heard about that in a long, long time. So last question, though. Maybe you and your boo watching Hulu, spending your time Amazon Prime where you get your kicks, maybe Netflix. What are you watching when you're vegging out, when you're going and you just need to relax the brain?
Well, okay, so two things. First is I literally do not watch TV. I mean, maybe I end up seeing possibly an hour a week. I intentionally stay away from it because I think it just fills your mind with crap. But anyway,
It does.
but I will tell you, my husband has been watching this new show that's it is like it's all about logging. So it's like people who log and then get the trees down and then put it on the trucks and the whole process of it and bringing it to the mill. Anyway, that's what's been on our TV.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I'm talking about, though. That's what I'm talking about. You never know. Sometimes we have some a lot of people that come on, and I think we all feel the same way. We don't watch much TV, but if I need to lay down for 20, 30, 40 minutes before I go to bed, I'll be like, yeah, what do I got? But it doesn't take me long to get off because it's just so blah, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll also start fading off into the vision of my agency, you know?
Yes.
And then now my brain's going, and I'm like, Jason, you got to just go to bed. Just go to bed, dude.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, I can relate to that.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you coming on once again. Really, really, truly do. Loyal listeners, you know I do what I do it for you. This today has been Beth DeLaForest. Did I say it right? Yes. I said day the first time because I'm from the Midwest and I'm from the Southern. And you know what one was funny, real quick, Beth? I was in Wisconsin when I was in my mid-20s, and I was doing some speaking there. And I spoke for like 2 days, right? And I spoke in a session for the Big I. And then the next day, I was speaking. And about halfway through, this guy raises his hand and he says, Jason, I just got to tell you. He says, if you're going to keep saying the state you're in, it's not Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin, dude. And I said, man, you got to say it again. I didn't hear the difference. But a lot of us say, hey, I live in Wisconsin. That's just how, well, they don't say that. That's what we say. Like, hey, I'm going to Wisconsin. It's not like West. It's Wisconsin. So just always remember that. If you're going out there, I'm going to help you prevent from sounding like an idiot right there because I spoke for 2 days. I wonder how many people were like, dude, what is up with this guy? Where did he come from? And then they found out Southern Illinois, land of milk and honey, and they figured it out. Beth, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This has been Jason Cass with Agency Intelligence, where today I gave you a real agent inside a real agency, and I gave you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. No one talks about bounce back factors except for Cass and except for Beth. We're out.